We all love a good ghost story, whether it be Chinese whispers or gathered around the campfire telling stories, but have you ever wondered where these stories have come from? After all, a good story is usually based on a true event that may have actually happened. These stories then get changed with each telling of the story, and so the truth being the story changes. This is top 5 ghost stories that may or may not be true.
The mobile phone. A couple of months ago, my friend's cousin, a single mother, brought a new mobile phone. After a long day of work, she came home, placed her phone on the counter, and went to watch TV. Her son came to her and asked if he could play with her new phone. She told him not to call anyone nor mess with text messages, and he agreed. At around 11:20, she was drowsy, so decided to tuck her son in and go to bed. She walked to his room and saw that he wasn't there. She then ran over to her room to find him sleeping on her bed with phone in hand. Relieved, she picked her phone back up from his hand to inspect it. Browsing through it, she noticed only minor changes such as new background, banner, but then she opened up her saved pictures. She began deleting the pictures he had taken, until only one new picture remained. When she first saw it, she was in disbelief. It was her son sleeping on her bed, but the picture was taken by someone else above him and it showed the left half of an elderly woman's face.
I sat on the bus. On my way to school, listening to music and paying little to no attention to the other students. At one of the stops my mind snapped back to reality. I looked towards the small house, Tommy's house, I thought. A hand slipped through the drapes of the window and waved the bus driver to move on. He's sick, I thought, paying no large amount of attention to the situation. The day flew by, and after school, I watched the local news channel, and what I heard paralyzed me. Tommy's entire family was murdered that day by an unknown suspect. After hearing this news, I moved back up to my room and quietly fell asleep. The next day, I sat on the bus. We drove past Tommy's house, and the bus driver, being unaware of Tommy's family fate, stopped at his home. As I was about to get up and explain to her what had happened, something caught my eye. A pale hand slipped through the drapes of the window and waved the bus driver to move on. I sat on the bus, terrified.
The impish ghost. My neighbor Diane and I had a playful poltergeist for years, and we called it Billy. I'd come home and find something put in weird places. Milk in cupboard, toilet paper in the fridge, laundry detergent in the bathtub. Diane once called to ask if Billy had been around, because she couldn't find a gallon of milk. We finally found it outside on her back steps, and sugar. Done sugar. Every morning, my sugar bowl was empty. When I had enough, I'd point to Diane home and yell, "Go see Diane." Within 5 minutes, I'd get a call from her, and she'd say thanks a lot, because he'd gone and pulled shenanigans at her place. This occurred for the entire 2 years we lived there. No one believed us, not even our husbands. My mother thought someone was stealing from us when we were sleeping or out of the house. My sister believed something was going on but didn't know what. I still can't explain any of it. The crib shadow. I was babysitting my niece while I was staying at my brother's place, and they had the baby camera set up so I could see her on the little TV it came with. I was studying and started dozing off when I heard someone whispering and realized it was coming from the monitor. I initially thought it was some feedback or something, but when I looked at the TV there was a dark shadow near my niece's crib. I have never been more terrified in my life, but the shadow was clearly there where it had not been before. I ran to my niece's room and looked around and saw nothing, but I took her the hell out of there. I went back to the TV, and the shadow was clearly gone. I told my brother what had happened and he pulled me aside and told me not to mention it to my sister-in-law because she'll freak out, but that he had seen the same thing several times now, with the same whispering. They stayed in that house for about 4 more years, and when my niece was just learning to talk she would tell her mom about her special friend. To this day, it scares me. When they moved out, my brother told me my niece had become inconsolably sad because she would miss her friend. Her mom would tell her she could bring him along, but all she would say that he couldn't leave the house. We have never to this day told about that damn shadow, and she apparently never saw it.
The Rocking Horse. One night, when I was maybe 10-12, I had trouble falling asleep. My bedroom was the entire top floor of our house, with my bed and such being on the left side and storage closets and a play area being on the right. I was lying in bed when I heard noise from the other side of the room and see a rocking horse begin to rock. It was sitting just outside one of the storage closet doors. It proceeded to rock its way halfway across the room and stopped dead under the ceiling light. At this point I was freaking out and just buried my head under my blankets and never peeked out again until morning. It was all confirmed to not be a dream, as the rocking horse was still in the middle of my room when I woke up. Furthermore, I got a stern reprimand from my parents for being up out of bed playing with my toys well past my bedtime. Their bedroom was directly below the storage closet, play area, and had heard the creaking of the rocking horse shuffling across the room.